on to today's broadcast.
Amazing. Okay, I'll tell you what's amazing in a second. My topic for today is a thirst for God, a thirst for God. And the reason why I say it's amazing because I have this Bible that was given to me at a Benny Hinn meeting. It's a Benny Hinn Bible. So it has different, what makes it different is it has excerpts within the Bible, like some of the great generals, could be Finney, could be Smith Wigglesworth, John Wesley, or what have you. And so I turned to this particular passage that I'm going to read to you, and there's a passage in here, I'm going to have to read it later, but the passage in here is John Wesley, and the topic is a thirst for God. Oh, wow. So when I looked at the page, I was like, how you know what my topic is? So I just think that's amazing. So that's some confirmation that this is what we're supposed to be talking about today. Let's go to Matthew chapter 5. Matthew chapter 5. So some of these scriptures we've heard before, maybe even read before, but we're actually going to get them or hear them at a whole nother level today. All right, so Matthew chapter 5, starting with verse 6, not starting, that's the only scripture we're going to read in this passage. It says, blessed are they, or blessed for those that are back in the day Christians, are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness. It says, for they shall be filled. Blessed are they that hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. And you know what's so interesting about living this life, especially as a Christian? Sometimes people try to dictate to you how you're supposed to flow as a Christian. So their thought is, make sure you pay attention to the person in the corner and run after them. Then when they get to the corner, they're going to run over to that corner, they run after them. When you get to that corner, they're going to run out the door, you run after them. Then when they run down the street, you just make sure you keep running after them, because you're a good Christian, right? Well, the Bible just said, they that hunger and thirst after righteousness shall be filled. So, and what it's saying is the person Jesus is saying, if you're hungry and thirst after righteousness, I'll fill you, but remember he told the disciples, don't cast your pearls to swine. Then he said, he sent them out. He sent them out without script. Remember, preachers, y'all know, right? He sent them out without script. And so he sent them out. He said, now, when you go into the town, if they receive you, he said, oh, man, just drop a blessing on them. Just drop a blessing on them. You go into a house, they receive, drop a blessing. He said, but if they don't, he said, dust the sand off your feet and keep on rolling. Now, in 2016, that wouldn't be called a good Christian. Well, you understand, they was just tripping today. They didn't mean that. They really do appreciate everything you shared, right? That's how we would do it, right? But that's not what Jesus said. Jesus said, all that attention you could be spending to somebody that's really not valuing what you're saying, don't trust what you said, not taking it serious, don't think it take all that. You could use that energy for somebody that's have you run out of the hungry and thirsty people? You see what I'm saying? Like what he's saying is, if you run out of hungry and thirsty people, then okay, man, give all your attention to maybe those that are running from you. But it's not like there's a shortage of hungry and thirsty people. Does that make sense so far? So it says, those that hunger and thirst after righteousness shall be filled. And so we always talk here about blind spots. So blind spots, driving is what? It's something in an area that I can't see. It's blind to me, but it does exist. So when we change that lane and we say, that car came out of nowhere, you remember when you did that, Hope? Like you was changing lanes and the car beeped and the car was like, where you going? You're trying to change lanes and you figure the lane was clear. You look behind you, you looked in your rear view mirror, you looked in your side mirror, you go to change lanes, the car go beep! You're like, oh, where'd that car come from? It was in your blind spot. We all have them. But it's not just a car. It's not just driving a car. It's also in our lives. There's times when we're crossing over out of the presence of God where it's beep, beep, what you doing? Like it's something dangerous there that's going to cause a collision. And the Holy Spirit normally, beep, beep, where you going? No, get back in that lane. You're about to cause an accident in your life, right? So we all have blind spots. And the interesting thing is, The blind spots are effect of a worldly diet. So you have a diet, but it's a worldly diet, and what it does is actually blinds you. It doesn't help you to see. Just like we eat all the time. So if you get hungry right now, some of y'all might be hungrier, you may go have pizza. Now, pizza gonna taste good, right? Well, some of y'all might have pizza today, so I'm messing y'all up. But it's gonna taste good. But it's not a whole lot of nutrients in that pizza. Y'all know that, right? He said, feels like it. I mean, but you know, like we was at the breakfast table during the retreat. So I noticed something after breakfast. Like we talked for a long time. But I noticed something, this guy right here. Like he was eating something, and I was like, I wonder what he eating. It was a big bowl of candy. Like on the and it was slammed. And so I thought it was the peppermints. I was like, he's making sure he has fresh breath. But I noticed it wasn't just the peppermints, Ed. No, and he was like, man, I love me some candy. So it tastes good, but y'all know there's no nutrients in that candy, right? I know I ain't getting a whole lot of amens on this, all right? But anyway, so it's the same thing with a world diet. There's things that feel good, may even taste good, smell good, but it's not necessarily helping us. It's creating blind spots. So we don't want to have a poor spiritual diet, because a poor spiritual diet will have you living in weakness, just like a poor natural diet have you weak. You know, I was at the gym today. We were supposed to lift. I left. And I was like, why don't I feel like lifting? The whole time I was like, what's wrong with me today? Like, this is my regimen. I lifted yesterday, did my incline. Today's the bench. And I just didn't feel like, well, when I got home, I realized I didn't do what I normally do. I take minerals and all types of stuff, and I didn't take it. So I just thought about it like this afternoon. I said, well, I didn't take the nutrients that gave me the energy to want to lift the weights today. Right? Yeah, so I played ball, and I felt like I had energy, but see, we got to have the proper diet. Same thing with wanting to do the right thing. It doesn't just come because I'm going to do the right thing. I mean, that would be nice, right? Just like eating right. It would be like, I just go eat right. No, it's your diet helps you to flow different. You want to, like I was telling you this here, right? So I think you asked me at the table. This dude was like challenging me the whole time during the retreat. But it was a healthy challenge. And he was like, so, like, how do you get up in the morning to do this? And sometimes you don't get sleep. And I said, well, you got to take that sugar out your diet. You have sugar in your diet, guarantee you're going to struggle to get up. Test it out. Spend a whole week of sugar. See how you get up in the morning. Spend a whole week with no sugar. See how you get up in the morning. I guarantee you, when it's time to wake up, you just get up, ready to go. Sugar be like, where you going? No, we ain't getting out of bed today. You better lay your behind here. And you be like, no, but I got to go to do such that. Sugar be like, you ain't going nowhere, right? Sugar is not your friend if you want to. Well, it's the same thing. The worldly diet is not your friend if you want to do the spiritual things, right? It's because what it does, it'll have you living out of weakness. So just like I was reading about hydration and how you got to drink a lot of water because it'll help you to hydrate. Actually, if you don't drink a lot of water and you're not hydrated, you can have seizures and all types of things. Your body, because what happens is the signal goes to your brain to say, hey, I'm thirsty. Quench my thirst. And so you have to stay hydrated. I mean, that's the best diet tip in the world. If you just hydrate it, you have a lot less aches and pains, a lot less inflammation. You'll feel like wanting to because your body craves water, right? Well, it's the same thing. The Bible calls the word water. So if you say spiritually hydrated, it's the same thing. You have a lot less aches and pains in your life, right? Right? You won't have seizures. You won't have spiritual seizures. Well, some of the people in the relationships call it tripping. I call it seizures. He's just going off you're out of control. You have a lot less. Why? Because you're taking in the proper diet. You're hydrated. All right, so hungering and thirsting after righteousness. Now, righteousness is, I like to call it a burn yearning to learn. A burn and yearn to learn. A burn and a yearn to learn. And that puts you on right standing with God. Now, you also have the scripture in John chapter 4. It says, whosoever drinks of this water that I will give him will never thirst. So we don't want to walk around thirsty because thirst is saying something's missing. I need something. Thirst is your indicator, or it's like your check engine light. Your check engine light tells you, check the engine. Now, you don't break the light, do you? Light come on you, because it's telling you something's wrong. And actually, those check engine lights were designed in harmony how your body is designed. It's similar to pain. Pain is telling you, hey, check this area. There's been a breach. Something is malfunctioning over here. So it sends a signal to release pain to that point. Just like when something's wrong with your car, it sends a signal to release, check the engine, and they go and there's a number, and the number says, oh, you have a problem in this area of your engine. Same thing in your life, right? So you don't want to be thirsty. You want the thirst quenched. So the scripture tells us in Ephesians 3:19, be filled with all the fullness of God. Be filled with all the fullness of God. My wife was talking about something, and I had a conversation with Felipe at the gym, and we were talking about how some people think, so let's say you start going to church and you start, especially come around here, and you're used to the, gotta say this respectfully, but maybe the structure where it's a lot of announcements, a lot of singing, this, that, and the other, and then maybe like 15 minutes of inspiration, and which ends with, maybe a song or a holler, somebody's veins going up to about here. Okay, and that has its place. You're inspired. Now, it's not a lot you can apply there because it's not like you're taking a lot, which you just inspired. Then you'll come back next week to get inspired again. So you'll go through crazy during the week and you say, well, I'll show up on Sunday to get inspired. But you're supposed to leave with things you can apply. So that's why you have steps and things like that. So you come into that environment, you're like, well, okay, 15 minutes, man. 15 minutes. That's all I'm giving you, 15 minutes of attention, and you can inspire me, and that's it. But now you're extending it, you're talking a little longer. Well, we were talking about how you got to expand your capacity. You got to expand your ability. So she was talking about eating, and she says, you eat, and you had enough. Your stomach go, that's enough. But I notice we don't go, well, I don't have the capacity to take any more. I mean, we'll fill ourselves up to a point where you could barely move sometime, right? Right, so when you want something, you overeat, but you expand your capacity. Same thing with lifting. There was a time when I can only lift 75 pounds. So for the rest of my life, when it was somebody took me to a workout, I was like, no, I have a 75-pound capacity. That's too much weight. No, I had to expand my ability to deal with a lot more resistance. That's the same thing as you grow in the Word. Even the people told Jesus, increase our faith. Disciples says, increase our faith, help our unbelief. So she was talking about how in one of the sermons I was teaching, she said, well, we got to expand our capacity. So I was talking to Felipe, and he's listening to a sermon by Tony Evans, and he talked about expanding your capacity. So I don't know if he's talking about the water or the sand, but he said, so if you go to the beach and you want a lot of sand, if you have a cup, you have what? You only gonna get a cup full of sand. If you have a bucket, you get a bucket full of sand. But if you come with a big dump truck, you're gonna get more sand, right? Right, so if you enlarge your capacity, you get to receive more. That will work with blessings and favor and the fullness of God too, right? Enlarging our capacity to receive, the prayer of Jabez, enlarge my territory, enlarge my tent. Oh, Lord, expand my ability to receive all that you have for me. I think that's 2 Chronicles 9, I'm not sure, but prayer of Jabez. That's something you probably could Google and give you specific scriptures. All right, so when you think about that, I was thinking about what makes us Christians in general in terms of thirsting for God. And we believe that any act that takes us out of the presence of God is sin if we're Christians. We believe that sin paves the way to eternity apart from God. We believe that the price for this life apart from God is hell, eternal torment, unquenchable thirst. We believe that if we live a life apart from God and we take it into eternity, that puts us in hell, and that's eternal torment. That means I have a thirst that will never be quenched. Just imagine when you're thirsty, or this would be good, if you have an itch that you can't scratch ever for the rest of your life. Or if you have a hunger for something and it's never going to be satisfied for eternity. That would be torment, right? Or you have a thirst and you can never quench that thirst. So, that's just an example, one of the examples of hell. We believe that its price for sin is eternal death. We believe God loved us enough to pay that price through his son Jesus. So it's amazing how we thirst for the truth as soon as we open our eyes. As soon as we start to see, the first thing we look for is the truth. We probably don't realize it, but we're looking for the reality, finding out, who am I? What am I supposed to do? Why am I here? Like I told my dad that my first transparent conversation, the last one with him, because it didn't go over very well. But when we was having the conversation, I was just asking questions. So how'd y'all divorce? How come I got left with strangers? I'm just talking through. And so some of the stuff he said, he didn't have the whole truth, and I did. So I said, well, no, it didn't really go that way because I interviewed my sisters, and it didn't plan out that way. So he said, well, I don't want to, he kind of snapped. You remember that, right? If you're watching this. So I said, okay, well, let's not talk about it. And I said this. I said, well, Dad, when the smoke clears and you wake up out of the fog you're in, you just want to know the truth. You just want answers. You just don't want to walk around with questions all the time. Questions. You want answers, right? You want answers in your life. You want to know what you're supposed to be doing and what's going to fulfill you in life. You don't want to just be guessing and winging it or trying out what everybody else says. So somebody else, I think I want to do this. And then you start to go down that road for a couple of weeks and you realize, well, this ain't quenching my thirst. You want to know the truth for your life, right? So it's amazing when we wake up that we search for truth. And what is a contrast to living among lies? Because you realize if you do nothing, if you're really not intentional and focused, I know some people think it don't take all that. You're living among lies, not because people are evil, because people hide. And if somebody's hiding, they're not living the truth, right? They're not told. It's something you're not getting. But you're playing off of what they're presenting. And they may be presenting with self-serving. Let's say, Ed's my friend, and I'm going to front because, honestly, I'm not even going to take time to get to know Ed. But I need Ed's services. Like I need Ed, I don't know. I need you to make sure my mail is taken into the house when I'm out of town on vacation or something. But I'm not going to talk to you about that. I'm going to talk to you like you're my buddy. So when I need you, I can use you. Well, I'm not presenting all of me. Because if I was presenting all of me, I was like, well, Ed, we cool, but I really just need you to pick up my mail when I'm out of town. That would be the truth, right? So I'm lying somewhat because I'm presenting it like we buddies, but if you step back, if you would stop to pay attention, it's a one-sided relationship. You're only doing stuff for me. I'm never there for you. I keeping it real, I'm not even really thinking about you. I might do the honorable mention thing every once in a while just to keep you focused. I don't want you to be distracted. So it's presenting a lie. And so you want to be authentic. And so when you wake up, you're thirsting for truth. You might not realize it, but you thirsting for, and truth hurts. The reality of truth is hurts. Sometimes you're stuck in relationships because you don't want to know the truth. Because your momentum is already taking you in a certain direction. So I told you the other day, that's what manipulation is. I'm going to take advantage of your momentum. I already got you rolling with me, and you ain't going to mess that up, are you? You ain't going to ask no questions. Yeah, you just going to roll with it. All right, so we'll keep rolling here. I'm trying to make a point. As soon as you see, you search for truth. See, when you're living blind, you accept a lie without question. Because it's really easy to find the truth. All you can do is ask a question. The hard thing is to assume, to walk in assumption. See, if you walk in assumption, you can create your own form of lie or perception without even finding out the truth. But honestly, Tanya, if you do something that's funky to me, I'm going to ask you about it. Because I want it to be a genuine connection. Hope, if you do something crazy, I'm going to ask you about it. I'm not going to assume, and I'm not going to go by what somebody else tells me you did. Or what you said. I'm going to ask you. Now, Hope, was you thinking that? And then I'm going to allow you to express the truth. But I'm not just going to go by what I heard. See, because what I'm going to do is now I'm back to soaking up lies. I'm not talking from a standpoint of evil. Most people are not evil. They're just fearful. And fearful people lie. When I was a kid, I lied because I was afraid I was going to get a spanking. I'm grown now. Ain't nobody giving me no spanking, so I don't have to lie. Right? Ain't none of y'all getting spankings at this age. I hope not. Well, they are, but I hope you guys are okay. So none of us have a reason to lie then, do we? So what? So why you lying? No. All right, anyway. See, okay, so when you're living blind, you accept a lie. Now, we're thirsting for truth without question. In that world, the first lie wins. Now, this is what I mean by that. Like, if truth is delayed, then it's dismissed. It's not even, in the court, you bring something in evidence. If the lie is the first thing you're exposed to, that has the first voice. Even when you hear the truth, you don't want to hear it. See, when you're living worldly, the first presented lie is what you live by. And somebody could talk to you and you get defensive. No. What you snapping for? Like, if it's the truth, it's the truth. Like, well, what you getting all? Why you stick your chest out? Can we reason together? It's the truth. So you got to watch thirsting for the world, because the world is deception and lies. You want to thirst for the truth. That's where God's at. God's in the truth. See, you shall what? Know the truth. That's where you're free at. So if you're in lies, you're in bondage. You're in bondage to deception. You're walking around a blind person with blind spots and don't even realize it. You see the difference? So we're fighting to see, as we was talking about in Patient Purpose, so we can live in truth. And it's tough because, how many of y'all are like a non-confrontational type people? Don't like conflict? Gee whiz. That's like everybody. Right. Well, and it's difficult, ain't it? Because there's certain things you may have questions about or like, everybody has gifts. So I'm what you call a seer. And so I see stuff. I mean, prophetically, I can sit around people and discern what's going on in their life. Not because I'm sweet. God made me that way. Well, the one thing about a seer is they thirst for truth. It's hard for them to be around anything that's not truth. So if there's a gray area, things funky, that seer is we're gonna have to talk about it. Because so I'm the type of person, if you do something that's manipulative, so let's say, like you just do something and it's like, hello, like, am I here? Did you realize like you just ran over me? I'm not gonna get mad, but I'm like, okay, now when you did that, do you realize the effect that had on me when you did that? Now sometimes I'll reflex and I'll say something, but interview the people at the church. I guarantee you they'll tell you, well, we had a conversation about that. He told me exactly why he did that. I talked to somebody this weekend. I said, well, could I explain to you why I did that? And how that comes across. So because I'm a truth guy. So if I do something, I'm gonna talk about it. If you do something, I'm gonna talk about it, because I don't want no gray area. I don't want no assumption. Now there's things I may do that I don't know I did. I'm open to talk about it. Right? My wife, trust me, she be talking to me about stuff all the time. So honey, that right there, what was that? I didn't know I did that. So I'll apologize, grip my teeth, and then hear how it impacted her. I got to grip my teeth because I don't like hurting people's feelings. So if I do something and it hurts somebody's feelings, I'm like, man, because you know how we be trying to be all perfect and stuff. Like, man, I blew it again. Yeah, I thought I was rolling, but the wife keeps me humble. Y'all do too. Keeps me humble all the time. Be like, yeah, honey, do you realize you did that and it had this impact? No, I didn't, but really? Was that really the impact? And if it's something publicly, I just come before you guys and say, my wife made me aware I did such and such, and I apologize. Right? Because I like being around truth. I don't want no gray areas. That's how you want to live your life. You have nothing to look over your shoulder. You don't have to sit around the apartment and start guessing and wondering and get paranoid. I think they thinking this. They're probably thinking this and they're thinking that and thinking that. Oh my God, they don't even like me no more. And then because they don't like, that's why they said that. I know Felipe didn't like me the way he looked at me. And then, so now you done created this whole story based on what? Because you've been hanging out with lies. And the adversary is like, good, now that we got your attention, let's feed you some more lies until you get the truth. Hopefully we'll feed you enough lies, you'll be so far from the truth you won't even try to reach for it. See, so we have to thirst for the truth. We have to keep ourselves thirsty for the truth. We can't take things for granted because then we'll get sucked back into the world of lies, right? All right, so Deuteronomy 29. Let's look at this. Deuteronomy, it says, okay, so living a lie is like, it's almost like feeding thirst, drunkenness. And I'll explain that in this scripture. Deuteronomy 29. I should have already had my Bible set there, but I didn't. 29 verse 19. It says, and it come to pass when he heareth the words of this curse. So you got people that are doing right and people that are doing wrong. So God is saying people that was doing wrong, after a while it reaches a limit. And God says, okay, tell you what, I'm going to give you an ultimatum. Either you do right now or you'll deal with this curse. Right? So now some people will hear the curse and go what? Start shaking and be like, I repent. Yeah, Hezekiah fell on his face. Like, Lord, I'm going to die. No. And God said, let's give him another 15 years, man. That dude, man, that's a good kid. It's a good kid. He got a good heart, right? Right. But some people hear the curse and be like, man, you tripping. Sure, right. God said that, right. But this is what he said. Look in the scripture. It says people are going to think like this. It says, come to pass when he hears the words of this curse that he blessed himself in his heart. Now, I don't need God's blessing. I'll bless myself, saying, look, I shall have peace, though I walk in the imagination of my own heart. Look, why are they doing it? To add drunkenness to their thirst. So you have a thirst, right? The thirst is designed to place a demand for it to be quenched. God is hoping that he can quench your thirst with truth. God's saying, every time you're thirsty, God says, yeah, I got the thirst quencher. Here's your Gatorade. Here's your water, right? But you know, some people get thirsty. Like I always give you out a testimony. We used to get thirsty back in the day playing. I just remember this one scenario in Bloomfield, New Jersey. We'd go grab Miller Draft. You know, the commercials, in the summertime, look at the commercials. Y'all going to notice them now. It's getting hot. They'll have like the Coors commercials saying it's cold. And it'll be like, and it's trying to tell you, man, you thirsty? Man, go get your cold one, man. Get your cold one that's thirsty. But that stills your thirst. So you just added dehydration and drunkenness to your thirst. That's what the scripture just said. When God tells you to curse, the curse should create a thirst for you to, okay, I need to find the truth that I'm not walking in. Not tell yourself more lies. Now you're drunk off lies. You was just deceived at one point, or you was in illusion. Now you're in delusion. You're defending the lie. You're intoxicated with the lie. Right? All right, and then one of the things we want to watch is sometimes remember I told you, very few people that are living a lie are evil. Most of them are in fear. And then when people are in fear, the adversary creates what we call peer pressure, but we're going to call it spiritual peer pressure. So he tries to put you in a position where you're always trying to prove yourself instead of being yourself. Like, you're not enough. You got to meet all these standards to be like everybody else. So you got to prove your loyalty. I was watching House of Cards, and the guy busted the guy doing something. He might have been some illegal drugs or something. And he says, tell you what, he says, he says, well, it's no problem. I didn't get in trouble. I got a DWI. Well, he was high too. He says, but they dismissed everything. He said, you think stuff like that get dismissed by itself? And then he realized, oh, you did it. He says, so what I owe you? He says, you don't owe me nothing right now, except for one thing. Your unconditional loyalty. He was like, oh, no, whatever you need. He said, I don't think you understand what that means. Even when you don't feel like it, you're going to be loyal to us. The adversary does that so he have you living a lie, you make a mistake, and but you don't. The sentence against the evil work is not executed speedily. Ecclesiastes 8:11, right? So then you figure, well, I got over. He said, now you know you're gonna owe me. Unconditional loyalty. So we want to determine our validation for our significance, caught up into the validating our significance. So I'm significance based on what you say about me today, right? Versus my qualifications for God's platform for tomorrow. So in other words, I'm being prepared for where I'm going. So is my validation meeting God's requirements, which is truth, thirsting for truth, or is my validation lining up with their lies? If I'm approved by the liars or the truth, now when you're making your decision, how you rolling? Because they'll tell you if you wear this, you're approved. Friendships will say, okay, if you are there for me, you're approved. Okay, do you realize sometimes there for them could be against God? Have you thought about that? And so you notice I asked you to raise your hand. How many of you are not confrontational? You got to work hard to be in truth, because somebody can pull you into agreeing with their world of lies, not because they're evil. Remember I said, people that lie, live in lies, and lying is just not the truth. You should know the truth. Truth shall make you free. Truth is final reality. It's your actual design. So most people are not evil. They're just fearful. And so they'll panic and they'll pull you into their lie. And so now you're walking. Listen, there is no provision for lying. Like yes, sir. Yeah. I'm here from all my blessings and fulfillment and favor. Yeah, I'm living for God now. Sir, as soon as you walked up here, you had Touch ID on your phone. Well, you got Truth ID, so you got to be truth. Remember, he says, "Depart from me, I don't know you. You work." Open the door. Whoa! You can't leave us. We with you. I don't know you. Depart from me, you work of iniquity. Basically, you live in a lie. That's not what I designed. Come back when you're what I designed. See, so you have to walk in truth, right? And so it's dangerous when you allow yourself to be submerged in a lie. And so compliance has its place, but obedience is your friend. Because obedience will keep you in harmony with the truth. Compliance makes you cool with them at the expense of him. Right? So it's hard. It's not easy for none of us. And see, if you're a non-confrontative person, people run right through you. See, not the people. See, because the Bible says don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, spiritual wickedness in high places. Don't be ignorant of his devices. Do you realize when, I don't know if I was talking to you about this, but you realize when you down, the adversary just be, almost like trying to bully you, trying to push you around. When you're down. And when you're not down, then he tries deception. We were talking about this today. So I was playing against a guy. He's taller. Believed he was stronger because he was taller. So I guess maybe at one time, I guess he figured he just pushed me around. Well, that wasn't working. So he changed. He went from trying to get physical, because that didn't work, to now mind games. You see what I'm saying? The adversary does the same thing. He'll try to punk you. If that don't work, now it's mind games. And if you're non-confrontational, he's like, well, they ain't gonna say nothing because that'll mess up the flow. They're not, and then you'll sit around going to somebody else complaining, man, they just using me. But how come you ain't tell them? So are they using you, or are you allowing yourself to be used? They doing what they do all the time. And then if you decide this relationship is over, you're just using me, they'll be like, how come you never said nothing? I figured you was happy with doing it. You never said nothing. Didn't think about that, did you? Oh, look at you. I think the wheels are turning. The wheels are turning. Remember, I told you, this is years ago. This is my second best friend. So we in the hood. So you walk each other home, and have the long night, 2 in the morning, you out talking about what you're going to be. And so the goal is to walk each other halfway. So, but I'm the same guy I am now. So I'll be like, man, I'll walk you. So I walk him almost to like his block, and all he had to do was walk down the street to his house. When it was time to walk me home, okay, so remember I walked him maybe 80% of the way home. When it's time to walk me home, he walked 20% of the way. So that same corner I dropped him off to go home, he would walk to that corner like, Brad, man. That's cool, man. You tired, man? Ain't no thing, man. Yeah, I got it. And so when I left for college, I said, wait a minute, man. I started to, you'd be sitting on the outside looking in, and you'd be like, hold on a second. This relationship was one-sided. I've been in some situations as an adult, as I got older, where, when you leave, you step back. Hold on a second. I think I got played. I was in a relationship. I used to come home. I worked in another state. So I would come home and stuff be missing. And I'm not talking about like a piece of candy. It'd be like, I just bought, back in the day, the Walkmans was sweet. Like it's like an iPod now. So I love music, so I had like one with an equalizer on it. So that was missing. And now, did I leave it here? Maybe I didn't leave it here. I could have left it here. Maybe I left it in New York. No, I didn't. You had somebody at the house and they took it. I had every album you could possibly ever think of. I traveled to Philly, to New York. And, back in the day, you couldn't have popcorn on them. You didn't want them scratching. So brand new. And think of Earth, Wind, and Fire, Tina Marie, everything I had. So I come home, I thought I bought that album. Maybe I'm tripping. Did I buy that album? That album's missing. When you remove yourself from the situation, man, I got played. They took everything. I was paying for somebody else to enjoy the benefits of my labor. I'll just put it that way. Another guy. So I'm going to say it because y'all walking around like, no, that didn't happen to me. Yeah, it happened. It happened to me, it happened to you too. I got played, man. But you just got to suck it up. But as you grow, you don't have to, some of y'all, you get all puffed up and now you dog out the next person. You ain't got to dog nobody out. All you got to do is start addressing behavior. Now, when you did that, it affected me this way. What was you thinking? And so eventually you'll get better and better at it. I'm almost becoming a professional. See, because you want to walk in truth. So a thirst for God is a thirst for truth. And if you allow yourself to be in an environment of a lie, you'll get used to a lie and you're not living in truth. So you're bound. And then you'll start complaining and blaming everybody else. When a caged bird, I'll give you this. I wasn't looking, Marcus, what? Okay, so caged birds. I can't think of the name of the song, but I know it's on the Mississippi Mass Choir album. And so I heard it. So the sermon starts off the song. And the guy says it's caged birds. So a guy has some birds. And he took the birds, put them in a cage. And then he would he would open the cage door. When they come near the door, he'd stick them and poke them. And so he's walking by, and the guy says, hey, man, what you going to do with those birds? He says, I'm going to take them up on the hill. He says, and I'm going to stick him, and I'm going to poke him, and I'm going to cut him. He says, but then after do that, then I'm going to kill him. He says, well, tell you what. He said, I'll buy those birds from you. He says, oh, it's going to cost you. He says, how much? Oh, it's going to cost you everything you have. He says, not a problem. I'll pay whatever it takes for the birds. So he purchased the birds. He goes up on a hill, and he takes the birds' cage, and he opens the cage for them to fly and see the world. They weren't coming out that cage because they were brainwashed. If I get anywhere near that door, I'm going to get poked. I'm going to get stuck. So the cage was wide open, and it wouldn't come out. And so the rest of the sermon is the devil was going by, and he found some people, and he bound them up, and he started picking with them and poking with them and hurting them and cutting them. So Jesus looks and says, what you going to do with those people? He says, oh, I'm going to pick with them, poke them, and prod them for a while. So he said, then I'm going to take them up on the hill and kill them. He says, well, tell you what, I'll buy them from you. He says, it's going to cost you. It's cost me what? It's going to cost you your life. So Jesus gave his life. And he got the people, took them up on the hill, and opened the cage. But they wouldn't come out. Stay bound in the cage. Now, I wonder who that is. All right, so you see, like, that's scripture, Galatians 4. It says, Galatians 4. Let's go there real quick. Because we have to walk in the truth. And I know this is a very difficult, can be a very difficult ministry to be at, because it's a ministry of truth. And sometimes that's tough because you have your own limit or your own capacity for truth sometimes, and you don't want to go beyond that. But it's not our truth; it's God's truth. All right. So this is the word. The word says this. It says, verse 8. It says, "Wherefore he saith, Galatians." I'm in Ephesians. I'm sorry. Wrong chapter. So verse 8 says, howbeit then, when ye knew not God, you did service unto them which by nature are no gods. You basically was in bondage unto those in the world of lies. It says, but now after that you have known God, or rather are known of God, now you're in an intimate relationship with him, how turn ye again to the weak and beggarly elements wherein you desire again to be in bondage? He says, you're free. Why would you stay bound? Why would you go back to bondage? When I done freed you up. Well, the Spirit of the Lord is there's liberty. 2 Corinthians 3:17. This is you free. When you're in the presence of God, you're free. You're not bound. You can be who you are. You're accepted for your design. You don't have to meet conditions to be accepted. All you have to do is be you. Right? Why would you go back and bind yourself up? Like if I don't show up on time, if I don't use all my gas to make sure I'm there all the time to show that I'm there for you, I'm not accepted. Why are you even going through all that? Why are you proving your love instead of being who you are? Right? So it's got to set up a different flow for us. That's why he told Abraham, leave your brethren and your king and your kindred for a reason. So the scripture says this, man, there's so much stuff. It says, I've taken you, Deuteronomy 8:2, I've taken you through the wilderness to one, humble you, to prove you so you know what's in your heart. Now, wilderness is interesting because most people are what in the wilderness? Thirsty. So the wilderness is to create a thirst for God. We take the wilderness as a punishment, but it's actually creating a thirst, and God's hoping you don't get off that thirst. And so it's almost like the wilderness is like a womb. It's a place of testing, not a place of resting. It's a place of testing, not a place of resting. So you weren't meant to live in the wilderness, though. You weren't meant to live in a thirsty life forever. The goal is to pass through. The children of Israel were never supposed to be in the wilderness for 40 years. It was an 11-day journey. So they were supposed to pass through. The reason why they was in there so long, because they started to get accustomed to living in lies instead of maintaining that thirst for the truth, which of course is God. So they thought other things could feed them versus God. So they turned a place of tests into a place of tents. It was supposed to be a place of tests. They start putting up tents. We're going to hang out here for a while. And then you get used to it. I forgot what the syndrome is called, but what it is like you have a disease or injury, and in this particular syndrome, you're healed from the injury, but you're still looking for it. Like you're so used to the discomfort or the disease, even when you're healed, you're looking for the disease. You start acting as if you're still dealing with the infirmity. When I remember, I was going to a professional trial in Atlanta, and I told this story before, but I make a long story short, goes to the hood to play ball, slipped on a puddle in the gym, slammed my knee, and you can move the knee. Let me see, which one was it? It was this one. You can move the knee back and forth. So I was like, man, like, I was ready. Like, I just, at this point, I feel I'm unstoppable. So I said, well, I'm not going to use this as an excuse. I'm still going to the tryout. And so I worked out for 6 days and running hills with one boot on, Rocky. And I prayed while I was out there. While I was on the court, my knee was fine. When I got off the court, I was in pain. It was almost like I had another knee while I was playing. And so some time went by. I never did have surgery. But I remember looking for the pain and looking for the injury. It's like, it's got to be here somewhere. I was like, yeah, I'm healed now. But nah, it's a catch. It's around here somewhere. If I look hard, I'm going to find. Why am I looking for something I'm believing God to be delivered from? I'm not just talking about me. Right? Why am I still looking for, we talked about it Sunday, right? Something that's over. Sure we'll hear what that was for. All right. Right? So even at on the cross, the Bible says Jesus took on everything for us, right? One of the 7 last words was what? I thirst. See, when the presence of God left him, that's the only time he was thirsty. Because truth had left him and he had took on the weight of our sin. He had took on deception and lies. To a point, look at what his response was. Father, why have thou forsaken me? See, once he took on what we live in every day, because we live like God has forsaken us, even though God's right there. He said, you cleanse out all that sin, you'll see me. I've been here the whole time. You thought it was one footprint in the sand. You thought it was because I left you. No, I was carrying you. Right? You see what I'm saying? So for that moment, Jesus experienced, it says he was touched on all points like we were. He experienced how we live in this world of lies. Like how we live thirsty without the presence of God. Now, the interesting thing is, you realize when you live in a world of lies and you got all these voices in your head, like, this is such a distraction. Like, when do you have time to think about anything but God? Well, you might have a lot of time, I don't know. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, you understand what I mean when I say that, right? Like, if you think about the things that concern you or the things that you're worried about or the things you don't understand, and you think about God and what he has for you and what he's purposed for your life, like, do you got time to spare? Like, to put any attention to the things that make you feel funky? If you think about, like, have you exhausted all of the stuff that God has for you? Well, I got some free time for some worry. You got any worries? No, I don't. You know how you work at a job and you do all your job, and then you say, well, I got some extra time. You need some help? Yeah, I did all my work. So you did all your purpose work, all your fulfillment work. I got some free time. You got some concerns I can, carry on my back? I'm trying to give you a picture, but it seems like that, right? Like, because if you're spending any time with worry and concern, you're saying I have time available for that. Because I've exhausted. Hope's back there going, no, not exactly. you understand what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing? And I'm at a place. I was talking to somebody this weekend, and they was about to. They wasn't trying to cause any drama. People like want to look out. It's like, well, I want to let you know. So I said, I don't want to know. But I just want you. I just don't understand. I said, I really don't want to know. Not because I don't care. I don't have any energy for that. Like, as if I'm all freed up with all the blessings and favor of God. The church is where God wanted to be already. We're floating on water. Every time people walk by, it's like, I noticed that building's floating. Boy, power got smoke all around it from the glory cloud. They're like, so I got some extra time. Tell me all the craziness and the drama and the misunderstanding. I got plenty of time for that. No, I don't. But I'm such a caring, concerning person. A lot of times I allow too much in. Remember you were saying how you thinking all the time? Well, I be thinking about, do y'all know, like, our life is about serving people that are working and dealing with stuff. It could be for healing. It could be finances. It could be just growing up. It could be parenting. It could be the parents and the child. And from all over, I was talking to somebody and they said, the counseling session at 7. I said, well, the guy in the relationship is in Hungary. So it was 1 o'clock his time, but it's 7 o'clock our time, 7 a.m. I said, so that's the time, that's his available time. The first appointment, we got it wrong. We was on 1 o'clock our time. He called at 7, was like, I'm waiting on the line. You guys calling in? You know what I'm saying? Like and when you deal with all that, I don't need no effort for concerns or what people are dealing with. I don't have, so I almost got to it's cool. Just lift it up to prayer. I'm already interceding for the people, so, but we talk about that. I said, babe, at this point, I don't even want to know. I just don't want to know. I care, but we're in a good place. I just want to stay in a good place. That's kind of how we are. We're in a good place, just stay in a good place. I mean, there's emergencies, there's stuff that, we do our share of the hospital visits and we talk people through stuff. We understand that, but craziness, I don't want to know. It's okay. I don't want to know. I don't even think you want to know. Be honest. Matter of fact, we probably all should just, we talking about fasting the other week. We should all maybe fast. Tell you what, I don't want to know. Because what happens is you start carrying around somebody else's drama. Tell you what, I'm already interceding for you and praying for you, so I don't want to know. Because it's not like, like somebody call you and they ask you for $50 today, but your money's already spent. You're like, no, I ain't got no 50. No. I can't pay your bill. I'm trying to pay mine. So it's almost like I can't pay your bill for drama. I'm trying to pay my bills. So I don't want to know. It just keeps us in a place where we're thirsting for God and we're allowing God only to quench our thirst. Gossip is an appetite. It could be addictive. So like drinking Coca-Cola. It could be addictive. It's not good for you. It'd be addictive. So you got to change that appetite to thirst for, do you have another revelation about God? Do you have some more insight, vision, and purpose? Because, during the men's retreat, there's certain things I didn't eat. And we were talking to your son, and so me and Keyson's son, we have a similar diet, with the exception of I don't eat red meat no more, so without the steak. But as he was talking, I was like, that's how I roll. So that means certain reasons I go, no, I'm good, I don't eat that. Like I told somebody I would taste something, I didn't really know what it was, but it was cabbage. I can't even taste cabbage. I'm not going to tell you what happened. I just use your own imagination. I can't even taste it. Well, so that means I have a particular diet. There's certain things I can't do. We bought something the other day. I didn't realize it had cheese on it. I don't do no cheese. And I've been away from cheese so long, my body started tripping as soon as I put it in. There's just certain things. I don't do milk. So if I have, every blue moon I'll have ice cream. But I have ice cream, my body be like, are we serious right now, Keith? Oh, so you just some type of joke. Okay, well, tell you what. You going to feel this, brother. And I do. I'm just not the same. Well, it's the same thing with all this other stuff to be trying to come into our spiritual diet. My body don't do right with gossip and negative. She'll tell you. If it's negative, I'm like, babe, like, could we figure another way to even present that? Because it's not my diet. So I do the same thing I do with food. Nah, I can't eat that right now. Do you get it? Like, are you going to change your diet? To thirst for the things of God? And anything that's not like God says, okay, we all on a diet. The thirst for truth. The things of God only. Y'all going to stick to this diet? It's and let's do it. See, that's the thing. Like, we got to diet ourselves. No, I'm on a new diet. Imagine you had that conversation next time you talk to somebody. Jamil, I'm on a new diet. Nah. I can't consume that right now. And you know how people tell me, you don't eat such and such? You know, they be like, oh man, you crazy. Pork chops, boy, what you miss? You don't know what you missing. I do know what I'm missing. No, I don't do that. And I'm not mad with nobody. Slam on your pork chops. I'm just not eating them. She'll tell you, I'll go to a cookout and I might have a salad. So I don't eat hot dogs and hamburgers. Look, he over here hurt. I have at one time. I'm not going to tell you why I don't eat them because I want to mess up y'all little world, but I don't eat hot dogs. That's a y'all little world. That was arrogant. I apologize for the little world. I don't want to mess up y'all world. It just came out that way, you know? See, I make them. Right. But I'm saying, like, I don't do that, so I won't like, this all y'all got? Hot dogs and hamburgers? Seriously? You knew I was coming. I don't do that. I'm good. Well, she'll tell you. The whole time I'm there, I'm like, I'm good. And people wondering, like, is that all you gonna have on your plate? Man, I can't eat that stuff, man. I can't do all I do taking in that on my diet. I'm not gonna feel like doing the stuff I need to do here. Well, he asked the question during the retreat, so he knows what I'm talking about, right? I can't do it because my diet is not gonna let me. It's gonna make me weak, man. I can't be weak. Y'all need me to be strong. When y'all tripping, y'all need me to be stronger. Right? You do, right? You don't want me looking at you like, so you tripping? Forget you then, cinnamon. You ain't all that anyway. You don't want me, imagine with jersey on you. Be like, but you the pastor. You want me to be loving all the time, even when you tripping, right? Yeah, it takes some strength to do that. So I got to eat right. Y'all still think I'm talking about food? I am, spiritual food. All right, so what we learned today? Let's go with the people online.
Thanks for tuning in to today's broadcast. To view videos or make donations, feel free to access our website at www.heirscc.org. Remember, at Heirs, we believe we're just what you prayed for.